Greenland is often described as empty, frozen, silent, forgotten, but beneath its ice lies memory. For centuries, myths have shaped how we imagine this land, a place too harsh for history, too cold for civilization, too distant to matter. Yet the ice tells a different story. It preserves forests that no longer grow, settlements that once thrived, impacts that reshaped the planet, and climates humanity has already lived through. In this video, we'll look past legend and into the evidence, archaeology, climate science, and historical sources to uncover what Greenland really was, and why its past still matters today. Greenland wasn't always frozen. This vast ice-covered island in the North Atlantic holds a history far more complex and dynamic than its modern appearance suggests. Paleoclimate data reveals that during warmer interglacial periods, parts of Greenland were free of ice and supported vegetation. This starkly contrasts with the image of a permanent, monolithic ice sheet, suggesting a deep history written not just in ice, but in soil and stone. The island's very name hints at a past that defies our frozen preconceptions, a name that was, itself, a tool of perception. Greenland was named to attract settlers. In the late 10th century, the Norse explorer Eric the Red, exiled from Iceland, sailed west and found this new land. According to the sagas, he strategically named it Greenland, believing that a pleasant name would entice people to follow him. This was not a complete fabrication. The coastal fjords where he established the first settlements were indeed green during the summer months of the medieval warm period. But it was undeniably a masterful piece of marketing, designed to build a new world on the edge of the known one. Vikings raised cattle in Greenland. The Norse who followed Eric the Red were not just explorers. They were farmers. Archaeological excavations of their settlements have unearthed the remains of barns and pastures, along with the bones of cattle, sheep, and goats. These colonists transplanted their pastoral way of life to this new, challenging environment. For several centuries, they managed to sustain a dairy farming economy, a testament to their adaptability and the relatively mild climate of the era. They built a society, complete with churches and farmsteads, that thrived for nearly 500 years. However, Greenland's Vikings faded slowly. The end of the Norse settlements was not a sudden, catastrophic event. It was a gradual decline over centuries, a slow-motion collapse driven by a confluence of factors. The climate began to cool with the onset of the Little Ice Age, making farming increasingly difficult and shortening the already brief growing seasons. Sea ice choked the shipping lanes for longer periods, isolating the colonies and severing their vital trade links with Europe. This was not a mystery of a people who vanished overnight, but a protracted story of a society struggling against forces beyond its control. The Inuit survived what Vikings couldn't. As the Norse society waned, another culture proved its resilience in the face of the changing Arctic. The Thule people, ancestors of the modern Inuit, had migrated from the west, bringing with them a sophisticated toolkit for Arctic survival. Their technology, including toggle-headed harpoons, dog sleds, and kayaks, was exquisitely adapted to a marine-based hunting lifestyle. Their diet, rich in seals and whales, was not dependent on agriculture. While the Norse were unable to adapt their European model to the encroaching cold, the Inuit possessed the knowledge and skills to thrive in the very conditions the Vikings found untenable. Mountains are buried under Greenland's ice. Beneath the immense weight of the ice sheet lies a hidden world. Using ice-penetrating radar, scientists have mapped a complete subglacial landscape, a ghost continent of mountains, canyons, and ancient riverbeds. In 2013, researchers revealed the discovery of a massive canyon, longer than the Grand Canyon, stretching from the center of the island to its northern coast. This topography, sculpted by water and time before it was entombed in ice, profoundly influences how the ice above it flows toward the sea. Fire exists beneath Greenland's ice. The island's foundation is not uniformly cold and inert. Geological evidence indicates the presence of a volcanic hotspot deep beneath the surface. This geothermal heat melts the base of the ice sheet, creating subglacial lakes and lubricating the flow of the ice streams above. This interaction between deep earth and frozen surface is a critical and often overlooked component of Greenland's complex glaciology, demonstrating that even under miles of ice, the planet's inner heat is an active force. Greenland's ice rivals skyscrapers. The sheer scale of the Greenland ice sheet is difficult to comprehend. In its central regions, the ice reaches a thickness of over 3 kilometers or nearly 2 miles. If this ice were a building, it would be more than 7 times taller than the Empire State Building. This colossal reservoir of frozen freshwater is a remnant of the last ice age, an archive of climate history that has accumulated, layer by layer, over more than 100,000 years. Greenland stores genetic history. Trapped within these layers of ice are more than just bubbles of ancient air. Ice cores drilled from deep within the sheet contain exquisitely preserved environmental DNA from microorganisms, pollen, and other biological material. This genetic archive allows scientists to reconstruct ancient ecosystems with remarkable detail, offering a window into the life that existed on the island tens of thousands, or even hundreds of thousands, of years ago. Trees once grew here. The evidence from these ancient DNA samples and fossilized pollen confirms a startling fact. Greenland was once forested. During a warm period roughly 450,000 to 800,000 years ago, the southern part of the island was covered in a boreal forest of spruce, pine, and alder trees, inhabited by insects like butterflies and beetles. This lost world, now buried under miles of ice, serves as a powerful reminder of how dramatically Earth's climate can shift over geological time. Greenland wasn't isolated. For the Norse who lived there, Greenland was a remote but connected part of the medieval European world. The key to this connection was a luxury commodity: walrus ivory. Tusks and hides from Greenland's walrus population were highly prized in Europe for carving into chess pieces, crucifixes, and other ornate objects. This trade brought wealth and European goods to the Greenland settlements, linking them to the economic and cultural currents of the continent for centuries. Cold ended the Viking world. The gradual cooling of the Little Ice Age, which began around the 13th century, was the primary driver of the Norse decline. Shorter, cooler summers made it impossible to grow enough hay to sustain livestock through the harsh winters. Expanding sea ice made the voyage to Iceland and Norway increasingly perilous, slowly strangling the trade that was the colony's lifeline. Ultimately, the climate shift proved insurmountable for a society built on farming and European trade. World War II reached Greenland. During the Second World War, after the German occupation of Denmark, Greenland's strategic importance became paramount. The Allies, particularly the United States, established military bases and weather stations on the island. These stations were crucial for providing accurate weather forecasts for military operations in the North Atlantic and Europe. Codenamed Bluey, these bases operated in secret, marking a pivotal moment when Greenland entered the geopolitical stage of the 20th century. Greenland moves. The island of Greenland is not stationary. It sits on the North American tectonic plate and is slowly drifting. Modern GPS measurements confirm this movement, tracking its slow but steady journey westward. This tectonic motion, part of the larger dance of continents, is a geologic process that operates on a timescale far grander than human history, shaping the very foundation upon which the ice rests. Ice behaves like a river. Though it appears solid and static, the Greenland ice sheet is in constant motion. Under its own immense weight, ice deforms and flows, behaving like an extremely slow-moving fluid. Glaciers, which are rivers of ice, channel this flow from the interior of the ice sheet toward the ocean. This process of deformation and sliding is fundamental to how ice sheets lose mass and respond to changes in climate. A massive crater lies under ice. In 2018, scientists announced a stunning discovery made with radar data, a huge impact crater, 31 kilometers wide, buried beneath the Hiawatha Glacier in northwest Greenland. The meteorite that created this crater likely struck within the last few million years, possibly as recently as 12,000 years ago. It is a dramatic and hidden feature of Greenland's geology, a scar from a cosmic collision preserved in ice. What melts here affects everyone. Greenland may seem remote, but its fate is intimately connected to the rest of the planet. As global temperatures rise, the Greenland ice sheet is melting at an accelerating rate. This meltwater flows into the ocean, contributing significantly to global sea level rise. Furthermore, the influx of cold, fresh water into the North Atlantic has the potential to disrupt major ocean circulation patterns, which in turn regulate climate across the northern hemisphere. Greenland loses the sun. North of the Arctic Circle, Greenland experiences the phenomenon of polar night. For weeks or even months during the winter, depending on the latitude, the sun does not rise above the horizon. This period of prolonged darkness is a defining feature of life in the high Arctic. A stark and beautiful rhythm that has shaped the cultures and ecosystems of the region for millennia. Greenland governs itself. While part of the Kingdom of Denmark, Greenland has a significant degree of autonomy. In 1979, it was granted home rule, and this was expanded to self-rule in 2009. Today, the Greenlandic government has authority over most domestic affairs, including its natural resources. This political evolution reflects a distinct national identity and the desire of its people to chart their own course. Greenland isn't frozen in time. The story of this island is continually being rewritten. Each new ice core, each archaeological dig, and each satellite measurement adds another layer to our understanding. From the discovery of ancient forests to the unearthing of Viking farms and hidden impact craters, science continues to reveal that Greenland is not a static, unchanging wasteland. It is a place of profound transformation, whose past and future are central to the story of our planet. Greenland reminds us that history doesn't disappear, it freezes. Civilizations adapt, climates shift, and landscapes change. But the record remains, waiting to be read. The stories preserved in ice aren't warnings written in prophecy, they're written in evidence. What once grew here, lived here, and vanished here tells us less about a distant past, and more about how fragile permanence really is. If you want more history grounded in sources, not myths where archaeology, documents, and science lead the story, subscribe and continue exploring the past as it actually was.